Okay, we got some giant monsters rising up in the Pacific Ocean. Who do we get to pilot the giant robots to fight these monsters? Let's get Finn, John Boyega from Star Wars, Clint Eastwood's son, and a group of teenagers, because that's a great idea, right? Pacific Rim Uprising, directed by Stephen DeKnight, starring John Boyega as Jake Pentecost, the son of Stacker Pentecost, Idris Elba's character from the first movie. This movie's set 10 years after the first Pacific Rim. The war against the giant monsters, the kaiju coming from the Pacific Ocean, is over. The breach has been sealed, and now the giant robots, the Jaegers, are going after people who are misusing the Jaegers. We have Jake Pentecost, who is a rebel without a cause, and he meets up with this teenager named Amara, played by Kaylee Spaney, who has built her own mini Jaeger to pilot. She can pilot it all by herself. When the Jaeger program finds out about Jake Pentecost and about Amara, they decide to recruit both of these two. The Jaeger program is now recruiting teenagers to pilot the Jaegers, and Jake has to train them along with Scott Eastwood's character, and you do meet up with the Asian woman from the first movie, Mako, who is Jake's adopted sister. Jake sees Mako die, being killed by a rogue Jaeger, and we find out that whoever's piloting this rogue Jaeger wants to open the breach where the monsters were coming from. The monsters come out, we get a whole new invasion, and Jake, the cadets, Scott Eastwood, have to fight against the monsters, and that's pretty much our movie. Now, I really like the first Pacific Rim. A lot of the action from that movie is what I wish was coming from the Transformer movies, because the Transformer movies were complete garbage. And hearing about giant robots versus Godzilla-like monsters, that's an awesome idea. Guillermo del Toro directing it better, and that movie was a pretty good movie. Yeah, it took some cliches from Independence Day, and Charlie Hunnam wasn't that great of a lead, but I did like the movie and the action was very good in it. So now we have this movie taking up 10 years after the first movie. No Charlie Hunnam at all. John Boyega is now the lead in this movie. And I have to say, even though I like John Boyega as a better lead than Charlie Hunnam, this movie is really not that good. It's a bit of a disappointment, really. I didn't expect it to be better than the first one because you don't have Guillermo del Toro directing, since he went off to win Oscars for Shape of Water and win Best Director nomination as well. But I was hoping that this was going to be good, despite the fact that he wasn't in it, and it's really not that good. Let's get into the positives of this movie first. The new robots look great. You have Gypsy Avenger now instead of Gypsy Danger, which is piloted by Jake Pentecost, John Boyega's character, and Scott Eastwood first, and then later on Amara is teamed up with him, and that robot's pretty good, and Jake and Amara are pretty good together. Only the problem with them being teamed up is Jake is being so flirty to Amara, and Amara is a teenager. Jake is in his 20s. That's creepy. The kaiju do look pretty cool in the movie once you get to see them. You don't get to see them until like the third act of the movie, unfortunately. And the other action scenes, so most of the action scenes against the rogue Jaeger, those are pretty cool. I did like the action scenes against the rogue Jaeger. And I did like Amara at times. There were some times when Amara was a little bit annoying, but there were other times when I did think that she was a pretty cool character. I do think that Kaylee Spaney is a pretty good actress. Let's get into the negatives though, because this movie has quite a few negatives. First off, Scott Eastwood is not a good actor. I really think he's an overrated actor. He has fans, but honestly, I really don't like him as an actor. I have yet to see him in a great movie. The last movie I saw him in was that stupid Nicholas Sparks film, and now he's not really all that good in this movie, really. They also give Scott Eastwood a love interest in the movie, but it really doesn't go anywhere. The movie doesn't develop any chemistry between the two of them, and it just feels pointless and tacked on, really. Then you have our villain. Yeah, they actually have a human face for the villain controlling the kaiju, which doesn't totally work. And then when you see who the villain is very cheesy and pretty much of a waste of a character. One of the characters from the first movie becomes the villain in this movie. The fact that Mako is killed off within the first 5 minutes of the film is a bit of a shame, because I did like that character from the first movies. And I was hoping that she was going to have just as much of a big role in this movie, and it sucks that she gets killed off and her death becomes a big plot point in this movie. And the kaiju in this movie really don't feel all that interesting. The monsters in the first movie, they each had a different look to them, so you can tell which monster is more powerful than the others. In this movie, they do more of a focus on showing different types of robots, which that is pretty cool. I do like seeing different types of robots with different weapons. That's great. But they could have done so much better with the monsters. And then we have the teenagers in this movie that are not Amara. These teenagers are annoying! They really don't have any chemistry, and this movie is trying to sell them like the next heroes, which makes this movie feel like a Power Ranger movie. And this movie's borrowing cliches, or pretty much ripping off cliches, from Independence Day Resurgence of all movies. Really? So overall, I really wanted to like this movie as best as a guilty pleasure film, really. But it's kind of hard to do that. I mean, this movie is not really all that good, really. It's not a completely terrible movie. I did get some enjoyment out of the film, mostly with the action scenes, and John Boyega is great, and I did like Amara at times, Kaylee Spaney. But really, it's not all that great of a movie when you really get down to it. So I'm going to give this movie a C-. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I just said that. Yeah, that's completely forgettable. Don't bother with this movie. Go see Insane. That is a great film.